The Temple of Hathor, nestled in the ancient city of Dendera on the west bank of the Nile, is one of Egypt's most captivating and enigmatic archaeological sites. Known today for its strikingly well-preserved reliefs, vibrant colors, and exquisite architecture, the temple has fascinated historians, archaeologists, and travelers for centuries. But beyond the visible grandeur lies a world of mystery, whispers, and unanswered questions. Rumors of hidden chambers, secret rituals, and subterranean passageways that have sparked intrigue from the earliest explorers to modern-day researchers. Understanding the Temple of Hathor is not simply a matter of admiring its monumental columns or deciphering its hieroglyphs. It requires delving into the layered history of a sacred site that has inspired awe and speculation for over 2 millennia. The temple is dedicated to Hathor, one of ancient Egypt's most complex and widely revered goddesses. Hathor was the goddess of love, music, joy, motherhood, and fertility, but her influence extended into the afterlife, protection, and cosmic order. Her presence was not limited to symbolic representations. She was deeply intertwined with daily life, religious rituals, and the spiritual imagination of Egyptians. The Temple of Hathor was constructed during the Ptolemaic period, around 54 BCE to 20 CE, though it incorporated older foundations and was later enhanced by Roman rulers, blending architectural styles and religious traditions. Unlike many Egyptian temples that primarily honored gods of death or kingship, Hathor's temple radiated a sense of celebration, nurturing, and mystique. Its walls were adorned with intricate carvings of Hathor herself, depicted with her signature cow's ears, and scenes of dancing, music, and celestial imagery, emphasizing her role as a goddess of joy, love, and cosmic balance. Despite its public and ceremonial functions, the Temple of Hathor harbored secrets that few could have imagined. Local legends, combined with early traveler accounts, hinted at underground chambers beneath the temple, hidden spaces that were said to contain treasures, sacred artifacts, or knowledge forbidden to the general populace. Ancient Egyptian religious practices often included esoteric rituals reserved for high-ranking priests and royalty. These rituals, sometimes conducted in secrecy, involved complex rites, symbolic artifacts, and carefully orchestrated ceremonies designed to communicate with deities, influence the cosmos, or preserve sacred knowledge. Archaeologists theorize that some of the subterranean areas under the temple may have been designed specifically for such clandestine activities. The layout of the temple itself offers subtle clues to these hidden aspects. While the grand halls, colonnades, and sanctuaries were intended for public or semi-public rituals, the design also incorporated narrow passages, sealed chambers, and intricate architectural alignments that suggest an awareness of secrecy and symbolism. Certain walls feature carvings that appear almost cryptic, with depictions of celestial bodies, esoteric symbols, and hieroglyphs whose meaning remains partially unresolved. Some inscriptions seem to reference underworld journeys, cosmic cycles, or divine knowledge accessible only to a select few. For centuries, these inscriptions fueled speculation about the temple's hidden depths and the possibility of chambers deliberately concealed from both visitors and early researchers. Early explorers of Dendera, including 19th-century Egyptologists and adventurers, were struck by the temple's beauty and craftsmanship. Yet many recorded accounts hint at their fascination with the unknown. Stories circulated of small doorways sealed by heavy stone slabs, of echoing corridors beneath the main sanctuary, and of strange artifacts glimpsed in the shadows that hinted at powerful rituals. Many of these accounts were dismissed as exaggeration or misinterpretation at the time, yet they persisted in scholarly writings and local oral histories. These rumors were often vague, descriptions of hidden chambers or secret underground rooms. But they kept the allure of mystery alive, ensuring that the Temple of Hathor was not merely a site of historical interest, but a locus of speculation and imagination. The mystique of the temple is compounded by its celestial orientation and astrological significance. Scholars have long noted that the temple's architecture aligns with certain stars and celestial events, indicating that its builders had an advanced understanding of astronomy. Some of the carvings and ceilings depict constellations, planetary movements, and cosmic phenomena, suggesting that the temple functioned not only as a religious center but also as an astronomical observatory. This dual purpose implies that any hidden chambers beneath the temple could have played a role in sacred rituals connected to the heavens, perhaps serving as spaces where priests observed celestial alignments or conducted secret ceremonies timed with specific astronomical events. The very location of Dendera enhances the temple's enigmatic reputation. Situated along the Nile, a lifeline of ancient Egypt, the temple was accessible to pilgrims, traders, and officials, yet the surrounding desert and rocky terrain provided natural concealment for underground passages. Over the centuries, sand and debris may have covered entrances to these secret spaces, leaving only faint traces of their existence. In addition, the construction techniques used in Ptolemaic Egypt often involved layering older structures beneath new ones, meaning that the Temple of Hathor might conceal not just one, but multiple subterranean levels, each with its own function and significance. Today, modern archaeologists continue to be captivated by the temple's mysteries. With advanced technologies such as ground-penetrating radar, infrared imaging, and 3D mapping, researchers are beginning to uncover evidence of hidden chambers, tunnels, and structures that were previously inaccessible. Each discovery, whether an artifact, inscription, or architectural anomaly, adds layers of complexity to our understanding of the site. What was once dismissed as myth or legend is increasingly seen as a plausible reality. The Temple of Hathor is not only a testament to religious devotion and artistic mastery, but also a carefully constructed labyrinth of hidden knowledge and sacred spaces. The fascination with what lies beneath the Temple of Hathor is more than a curiosity. It touches upon fundamental questions about the ancient Egyptian worldview. Were these hidden chambers purely ceremonial, or did they serve practical purposes, such as storage or protection of sacred items? Were they spaces for mystical initiation, where only the most trusted priests could access divine knowledge? Or did they contain secrets that challenge our understanding of Egyptian religion, astronomy, and ritual practice? These questions ensure that the temple remains not just a site of historical study, but a living mystery, continually inviting scholars, adventurers, and enthusiasts to peer into the shadows and imagine what secrets might be hidden beneath the stones. In conclusion, the Temple of Hathor in Dendera is far more than an architectural marvel or a repository of ancient art. It is a symbol of ancient Egypt's capacity for secrecy, symbolism, and spiritual ingenuity. Its underground mysteries, whispered about for centuries, continue to intrigue archaeologists and historians, offering a tantalizing glimpse into a past that remains partially hidden from view. As research continues and new technologies allow deeper exploration, the Temple of Hathor promises to reveal secrets that may astonish the world, reminding us that beneath the surface of even the most studied monuments, history often keeps some of its most extraordinary stories carefully concealed. Before modern technology allowed archaeologists to peer beneath the Temple of Hathor, the idea of hidden chambers and secret corridors beneath the ancient sanctuary had already captured the imagination of explorers, scholars, and locals alike. Early accounts from the 18th and 19th centuries are filled with tantalizing hints and anecdotal reports, sometimes exaggerated, sometimes mysterious, but always suggestive of a deeper, concealed layer of history that defied conventional understanding. These initial discoveries and speculations laid the groundwork for the decades of research and fascination that would follow, creating a legend around the temple that rivaled even the grandest tales of Egypt itself. During the late 18th century, as European explorers and antiquarians began systematic surveys of Egypt, Dendera emerged as a site of immense interest due to its unusually well-preserved Ptolemaic architecture and intricate reliefs. Travelers often recorded the majesty of Hathor's temple in glowing terms, describing its soaring columns, elaborate capitals, and vibrant wall paintings that remarkably retained traces of their original colors. Yet among these descriptions, many also noted peculiar features that sparked curiosity: doorways seemingly leading nowhere, floors with depressions that suggested hidden pits, and stone slabs that appeared out of place or unusually heavy, as if concealing something beneath. Local legends amplified these observations. Villagers spoke of subterranean halls where priests of Hathor conducted secret rituals, a narrative that outsiders often dismissed as myth, but which, in hindsight, may have preserved fragments of truth. Early Egyptologists, such as Jean-François Champollion, the famed decipherer of hieroglyphs, were among the first to grapple seriously with the possibility of hidden chambers. When visiting Dendera, Champollion marveled at the temple's carvings and symbolic complexity, but he also speculated that some passages might extend below the structure. While his methods were limited to visual inspection and rudimentary excavation, his notes hint at a profound sense that the temple was more than it seemed. He observed that certain hieroglyphic sequences suggested references to underworld journeys, sacred rites, and hidden knowledge, all of which could correspond to subterranean spaces. Although Champollion did not personally confirm the existence of underground chambers, his writings encouraged later scholars to investigate further, planting the seed of speculation that continues to this day. By the early 19th century, European interest in Egypt had surged, fueled by Napoleon's expedition and the subsequent wave of scholarly fascination. Archaeologists and explorers, such as Robert Hay and Carl Richard Lepsius, visited Dendera, documenting every accessible part of the temple in meticulous detail. Their reports contained tantalizing references to anomalies in the temple's construction, narrow corridors abruptly ending in solid walls, staircases descending into darkness, and sealed niches embedded within the structure. Some of these features were dismissed as architectural quirks, while others were taken more seriously, interpreted as signs of chambers that had been deliberately hidden for religious or ceremonial purposes. Importantly, their records also noted local oral traditions claiming that the temple concealed treasures and sacred artifacts beneath the surface, a common motif in Egyptian lore, but one that could not be entirely ignored, given the temple's exceptional preservation and historical significance. The mystery was compounded by occasional reports of artifacts found outside official excavations. Local villagers sometimes discovered small objects, carvings or inscriptions near the temple grounds, often at spots that suggested the presence of previously unknown chambers. These finds were rarely documented systematically, yet they contributed to a sense of intrigue. Among the most curious were fragments of ritual objects and symbolic carvings depicting Hathor in unusual postures, sometimes accompanied by hieroglyphs that appeared to reference esoteric knowledge or secret ceremonies. Scholars were puzzled. Why would such artifacts exist outside the visible temple spaces unless they were once part of hidden chambers deliberately sealed or abandoned? These questions fueled decades of speculation and added to the aura of secrecy surrounding Dendera. Not all early speculations were grounded in tangible evidence. Romanticized accounts by travelers and writers often blended observation with imagination, describing subterranean labyrinths, priestly sanctuaries, and even chambers containing mystical knowledge or forbidden rituals. Some of these accounts, sensationalized in travelogues and early Egyptology texts, painted the temple almost as a mystical fortress of hidden wisdom. While these narratives were occasionally dismissed as exaggeration, modern archaeology has revealed that they were not entirely without basis. Subsequent discoveries confirmed that the temple did, in fact, contain structural features that had previously gone unnoticed, chambers, corridors, and shafts deliberately concealed within the massive stone construction, sometimes aligned with religious or celestial symbolism. One of the most intriguing aspects of early speculation involved the temple's relationship with astronomy. Some researchers noted that the temple's orientation, carvings, and ceilings hinted at celestial alignments, suggesting that underground chambers might have been used for astronomical observation or sacred rituals tied to the movements of stars and planets. Local accounts sometimes referenced the temple as a house of the sky, implying that its hidden spaces were not merely storage rooms, but held spiritual or cosmic significance. While these ideas were speculative and controversial at the time, they foreshadowed later discoveries confirming that the temple's subterranean structures were far more complex and symbolically rich than initially assumed. The secrecy of the underground chambers was further reinforced by cultural practices in ancient Egypt. Temples were not merely places of public worship, they were also centers of elite religious knowledge. Certain rituals were strictly reserved for high-ranking priests, and many sacred practices were intentionally concealed from the general populace. Archaeologists have since recognized that these subterranean areas likely functioned as spaces for private ceremonies, initiation rites, and the safeguarding of powerful religious artifacts. Early explorers, however, lacked the tools and understanding to fully interpret these spaces, which is why their accounts often mixed fact, conjecture, and legend. Despite the limitations of early excavation techniques, the early discoveries and speculations about hidden chambers beneath the Temple of Hathor created a foundation for ongoing research. They introduced questions that modern archaeologists continue to investigate. How many chambers exist beneath the temple? What was their purpose? Were they used for ritual, storage, or astronomical observation? Did they contain knowledge or artifacts intended to remain secret for centuries? These questions persisted, keeping the temple at the center of scholarly debate and public fascination. Ultimately, the early discoveries and speculations surrounding the Temple of Hathor serve as a reminder of the allure of the unknown in archaeology. Even in an era when excavation methods were rudimentary, the hints of hidden chambers beneath the temple inspired generations of researchers to imagine what might lie beneath the stone foundations. The combination of architectural anomalies, local legends, symbolic inscriptions, and tantalizing artifact finds created a narrative of mystery and discovery that persists to this day. These early investigations, although incomplete, set the stage for the modern era of exploration, where advanced technology allows archaeologists to begin uncovering the very secrets that earlier explorers could only dream of. In essence, the early years of exploration at Dendera were marked by a sense of wonder, speculation, and the gradual recognition that the Temple of Hathor was more than a monument to a beloved goddess. Beneath its grand columns and elaborate reliefs lay the possibility of hidden worlds, spaces deliberately concealed for purposes that remain partially veiled to this day. The discoveries and speculations of these early explorers were not simply about cataloging art or architecture. They were an initial probe into the temple's most profound mysteries, a prelude to the revelations that modern archaeology is only now beginning to confirm. The Temple of Hathor, it seemed, was a monument not only to Hathor herself, but also to the ingenuity, secrecy, and spiritual ambition of those who built and preserved it. A monument whose hidden chambers continue to challenge our understanding of ancient Egypt. In the past few decades, the Temple of Hathor at Dendera has become the focus of a new era of archaeological exploration. An era defined not by intuition or guesswork, but by cutting-edge technology and meticulous scientific methodology. Modern archaeologists, equipped with advanced tools, have begun to uncover secrets that would have been unimaginable to early explorers. While the grandeur of Hathor's temple has always been evident in its soaring columns, intricately carved walls, and vividly painted reliefs, Hat lies beneath the temple has remained largely hidden, until recent innovations allowed researchers to peer into its subterranean depths without disturbing the ancient stone. One of the first breakthroughs came with ground-penetrating radar, GPR, a technology that sends electromagnetic pulses into the ground and measures the reflected signals to identify anomalies in the subsurface. When applied to the area surrounding the Temple of Hathor, GPR revealed a complex network of underground chambers, shafts, and tunnels, some of which were inaccessible through traditional excavation. Unlike the early explorers who had to rely on physical exploration, modern archaeologists could now map these subterranean structures with precision, revealing spaces that had been sealed for centuries. Some of these chambers appeared to align with the temple's main halls, suggesting a deliberate design intended to extend the sacred functions of the temple below ground. In addition to GPR, LiDAR scanning, light detection, and ranging technology enabled researchers to create detailed three-dimensional models of the temple and its hidden features. By bouncing laser pulses off surfaces and recording the reflections, LiDAR provides highly accurate maps of even the most inaccessible areas. When applied to the Temple of Hathor, LiDAR revealed previously unnoticed depressions in the floor and walls, subtle variations in stone thickness, and hidden passages concealed beneath layers of debris. These findings confirmed some of the early speculations recorded by 19th-century explorers, demonstrating that the temple's subterranean complexity was no mere legend but a tangible reality. Third critical advancement was the use of infrared thermography, a technique that measures heat patterns on surfaces to detect hidden structures. Differences in thermal conductivity often reveal voids or materials of differing density, exactly what archaeologists needed to locate concealed chambers. Through this method, researchers identified areas beneath the temple floor that appeared to be hollow, prompting careful excavation and further study. These thermal anomalies often corresponded with areas identified through GPR and LiDAR, providing multiple lines of evidence that strengthened the case for underground chambers of significant size and complexity. Key discoveries themselves have been astonishing. Excavations guided by these technologies uncovered chambers containing artifacts of extraordinary significance, including ceremonial vessels, carved figurines, and inscriptions previously unknown to Egyptologists. Many of these objects appeared to be associated with esoteric rituals, hinting at practices reserved for high-ranking priests or select groups of initiates. Some chambers also contained remains of ancient structures that had been deliberately sealed, suggesting that their contents were meant to be hidden from the public eye for reasons that remain speculative. These findings provide compelling evidence that the temple was more than a place of visible worship. It was also a locus of secret religious activity, much of which was hidden from all but a privileged few. In some of the subterranean chambers, archaeologists discovered hieroglyphs and symbolic carvings that had no parallel in the temple's above-ground structures. These inscriptions were highly detailed, often incorporating celestial motifs, abstract patterns, and references to Hathor's cosmic role. Scholars have proposed that these carvings may have been part of advanced religious or astronomical practices, possibly serving as guides for rituals or as repositories of sacred knowledge. Unlike the decorative reliefs visible in the main halls, which primarily depict mythological narratives and public ceremonies, these underground inscriptions suggest a more esoteric dimension to Hathor worship, one that involved secrecy, symbolism, and specialized knowledge. The presence of ritual objects further deepens the intrigue. Archaeologists uncovered golden figurines, small ceremonial implements, and vessels with traces of substances that may have been used in sacred rites. Some items bore inscriptions that referred to celestial bodies or mystical concepts, reinforcing the idea that the chambers were associated with both spiritual and astronomical practices. The careful placement and deliberate concealment of these artifacts indicate that they were considered too sacred or powerful to remain in public view, reflecting a profound reverence for the hidden dimensions of religious life in ancient Egypt. Modern researchers have also explored the possibility that some chambers served astronomical functions, acting as observatories aligned with stars, planets, or significant celestial events. The temple's orientation and celestial carvings suggest that the underground structures were not merely storage or ritual spaces. They may have been used to track astronomical cycles, calculate religious calendars, or perform ceremonies at precise times. This combination of architecture, ritual, and astronomy underscores the sophistication of ancient Egyptian religious practice and challenges earlier assumptions that the temple's functions were limited to public worship and aesthetic grandeur. Despite these advances, exploration beneath the Temple of Hathor remains cautious and methodical. Preservation of the structure is a paramount concern, and researchers are careful to avoid any action that could damage the delicate stone or painted reliefs above. This has meant that some chambers remain largely unexplored, accessible only through remote sensing techniques. Nevertheless, even the partial investigations conducted so far have transformed our understanding of the temple, revealing a hidden layer of complexity that early explorers could only imagine. Perhaps most striking is the realization that these discoveries validate centuries of speculation. What was once dismissed as myth or exaggeration now has scientific confirmation. The early accounts of secret chambers, mysterious artifacts, and esoteric rituals were not mere fanciful stories. They were glimpses into a deliberately constructed underground world that has survived the passage of time. The work of modern archaeology has not only uncovered these hidden spaces, but has also begun to interpret their significance, shedding light on the sophisticated religious, architectural, and astronomical knowledge of ancient Egyptians. In addition to expanding our historical understanding, the discoveries beneath Hathor's temple have profound implications for Egyptology and cultural heritage. They challenge long-held assumptions about the functions of temples, the role of secrecy in religious life, and the technological capabilities of Ptolemaic builders. Each new chamber, artifact, and inscription prompts fresh questions. How many more spaces remain hidden? What knowledge or rituals were preserved in these chambers? And how do these findings change our broader understanding of ancient Egyptian religion and society? These questions ensure that the Temple of Hathor continues to be a source of fascination and debate, drawing scholars from around the world to explore its secrets. Ultimately, modern archaeological methods have transformed the Temple of Hathor from a static monument of beauty into a dynamic, multi-layered site of discovery. Technologies such as ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, infrared thermography, and careful excavation have allowed researchers to peer beneath centuries of stone and debris, uncovering a sub-terra world that was previously inaccessible. The hidden chambers, ritual objects, inscriptions, and architectural features reveal a depth of planning, symbolism, and spiritual ambition that underscores Hathor's enduring significance in the Egyptian cosmos. Each discovery is a reminder that even the most studied monuments still hold secrets, waiting for the right combination of curiosity, technology, and perseverance to bring them to light. As archaeologists continue to explore the temple's underground labyrinth, the Temple of Hathor stands as a testament not only to ancient Egyptian devotion and artistic mastery, but also to the endless possibilities of discovery that remain in the study of human history. The modern methods employed at Dendera have illuminated what was once hidden, bridging centuries of speculation with tangible evidence, and revealing that the temple's true legacy lies not only in its visible splendor, but in the mysteries it still guards beneath the surface. After decades of speculation and cautious investigation, the subterranean chambers beneath the Temple of Hathor finally yielded discoveries that astonished archaeologists and scholars alike. While early explorers and even some modern researchers had hinted at hidden spaces and ceremonial artifacts, nothing could have fully prepared the world for the profound and sometimes disturbing revelations that awaited those who dared to probe the temple's secret depths. These discoveries not only reshaped our understanding of Hathor worship, but also challenged long-standing assumptions about religious practices, ritual secrecy, and cosmological knowledge in ancient Egypt. The initial shock came when researchers uncovered mummified remains unlike any previously documented in Egyptian archaeology. Unlike typical tombs, where mummies were carefully embalmed, placed in coffins, and adorned with funerary goods, Hathor remains appeared in unusual postures, often in confined, dimly lit chambers. The bodies were positioned in ways that suggested ritual significance rather than traditional burial practices. Some were placed alongside symbolic objects, while others were found near carvings depicting cosmic events or mystical symbols associated with Hathor. These arrangements hinted at ceremonial uses rather than conventional interment, suggesting that the temple's underground chambers were spaces of sacred, secret activity, rituals that may have been accessible only to high-ranking priests or initiates. Alongside the mummies, archaeologists discovered inscriptions and hieroglyphs that were both enigmatic and unprecedented. These carvings did not merely recount myths or praise Hathor in conventional terms, they referenced celestial cycles, esoteric knowledge, and the goddess's role in cosmic order. Some inscriptions appeared to document advanced astronomical observations, with references to planetary alignments, the positions of stars, and specific celestial phenomena. Scholars began to speculate that these chambers may have functioned as astronomical observatories or ritual spaces where the priests tracked the heavens and conducted ceremonies aligned with cosmic events. This revelation suggested that the temple's purpose extended beyond the earthly and into the celestial realm, reflecting a sophisticated intertwining of religion, science, and ritual practice. Perhaps most surprising were the ritual objects found carefully preserved in the subterranean chambers. Golden figurines, ceremonial vessels, amulets, and intricately carved implements were among the treasures unearthed. Each item bore evidence of deliberate placement, and some were inscribed with protective spells or symbolic references to Hathor and other deities. These artifacts suggested that the temple's hidden chambers were not simply storage spaces or hidden crypts. They were active centers of religious practice, where objects imbued with spiritual significance were kept secure from public view. The presence of these items highlighted a previously underappreciated dimension of Hathor worship, that secrecy, symbolism, and ritual precision were central to the temple's sacred function. One particularly startling aspect of the discovery involved carvings and symbols that appeared almost otherworldly. In some chambers, walls were covered with abstract patterns, celestial diagrams, and representations of deities in forms unfamiliar to traditional Egyptology. These carvings suggested a complex symbolic language that may have been understood only by the temple's elite priests. Some scholars posited that these images documented ritual journeys, mystical experiences, or even secret teachings meant to convey cosmic truths. The artistic sophistication and esoteric content of these carvings immediately captured the attention of researchers who realized that these chambers represented a hidden intellectual and spiritual universe within the temple, one that had been intentionally concealed for centuries. Another layer of shock came from the discovery of sealed chambers within the underground network. Some rooms had been deliberately walled off or blocked by massive stone slabs, suggesting that their contents were considered too sacred or too dangerous for casual exposure. Within these sealed spaces, archaeologists found objects that may have been used in high-level initiation ceremonies or secret rites. Some items appear to be associated with fertility, cosmic balance, or protective magic, indicating that the rituals conducted here were multifaceted, combining spiritual, practical, and symbolic functions. The deliberate concealment of these chambers reinforced the idea that the temple's hidden end spaces were places of power and secrecy, reserved for select individuals entrusted with knowledge deemed too profound for the general populace. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of the discovery involved the implications for our understanding of Hathor's cult. Traditionally viewed as a goddess of love, music, joy, and motherhood, Hathor's underground chambers revealed a more complex dimension of her worship, one that incorporated secrecy, mysticism, and ritual practices with potentially transformative or esoteric aims. The discovery of mummified remains, ritual objects, and celestial inscriptions suggested that the cult of Hathor was not merely celebratory but also deeply mystical, involving rites that may have aimed at achieving spiritual insight, cosmic alignment, or even immortality. These revelations challenged previous assumptions about the goddess's role and expanded our understanding of the diversity of religious practice in ancient Egypt. The discovery also raised questions about the intersection of religion and science in ancient Egyptian culture. The detailed astronomical carvings, aligned chambers, and references to celestial cycles suggest that the priests of Hathor possessed sophisticated knowledge of the heavens. Some researchers argue that these underground chambers may have functioned as observatories, ritual laboratories, or centers for advanced calculation. This blending of ritual, symbolism, and empirical observation underscores the Egyptians' holistic worldview in which spiritual and cosmic order were intertwined, and understanding the movements of the heavens was inseparable from sacred practice. Public fascination with the discovery has been immense. When news of the subterranean chambers, mummified remains, and mysterious inscriptions was released, it captured the imagination of both scholars and laypeople. Media outlets described the NDS as shocking and unprecedented, emphasizing the temple's dual identity as both a public monument and a hidden repository of ancient secrets. The narrative of secret chambers filled with ritual objects and celestial knowledge evokes a sense of mystery reminiscent of lost civilizations or hidden temples of antiquity, and it reinforces the enduring allure of Egypt as a land of monumental beauty and untold secrets. Despite the excitement, archaeologists have approached the discovery with caution and respect. Preservation of the temple's delicate structures is paramount, and many chambers remain partially unexplored to prevent damage. Researchers have employed non-invasive methods, including 3D mapping, digital reconstruction, and careful artifact documentation, ensuring that the hidden chambers can be studied without compromising their integrity. These methods allow for ongoing investigation while respecting the sacred and historical significance of the site, a balance that reflects modern principles of archaeology and cultural heritage management. The discoveries beneath the Temple of Hathor ultimately highlight the dynamic interplay between secrecy, knowledge, and ritual in ancient Egypt. The underground chambers reveal a world deliberately hidden from view, where sacred objects, inscriptions, and celestial observations were preserved for select individuals. These findings provide compelling evidence that ancient Egyptian temples were not merely centers of public worship, but also carefully orchestrated spaces of esoteric knowledge, ritual complexity, and spiritual ambition. The Temple of Hathor, in particular, exemplifies this duality. Above ground, it dazzles with color, artistry, and myth. Below ground, it guards secrets that challenge our understanding of religion, science, and society in antiquity. In conclusion, the shocking discoveries beneath the Temple of Hathor have transformed the way scholars, historians, and the public perceive this iconic site. The mummified remains, esoteric inscriptions, ritual artifacts, and celestial chambers reveal a hidden dimension of ancient Egyptian religious practice, one that combines mystery, spirituality, and cosmic knowledge in ways previously unimagined. These revelations validate centuries of speculation, uncovering a reality that early explorers could only dream of and that modern archaeologists continue to unravel. The Temple of Hathor now stands not only as a monument to a beloved goddess, but also as a symbol of the profound secrets and enduring mysteries of the ancient world, reminding us that even the most studied monuments may still harbor astonishing discoveries waiting to be revealed. Discoveries beneath the Temple of Hathor at Dendera have profound implications not only for our understanding of the temple itself, but also for the broader study of ancient Egyptian history, religion, and culture. While the visible grandeur of the temple, the soaring columns, vibrant reliefs, and intricate carvings, has long fascinated scholars, the recent uncovering of hidden chambers, esoteric artifacts, and mummified remains adds a layer of complexity that challenges traditional narratives about religious practice, temple architecture, and spiritual life in ancient Egypt. These revelations demand a reevaluation of assumptions held for decades, if not centuries, about the nature of Hathor worship and the organization of sacred spaces in Egyptian society. One of the most significant implications is the reassessment of temple function in ancient Egypt. For many years, Egyptologists viewed temples primarily as centers of public ritual and ceremonial activity, places where priests performed daily offerings to the gods, and where ordinary citizens could observe or participate in religious festivals. The hidden chambers beneath the Temple of Hathor, however, suggest that temples also served as repositories of secret knowledge and spaces for private or esoteric rites. The presence of ritual objects, carefully arranged mummified remains, and inscriptions referencing celestial cycles indicates that parts of the temple were deliberately concealed, accessible only to a select group of priests or initiates. This duality, a public space above ground and a hidden sacred space below, demonstrates that ancient Egyptian temples were far more complex than previously thought, integrating multiple levels of religious experience within a single architectural framework. The discoveries also illuminate the role of secrecy and initiation in Egyptian religious practice. The underground chambers appear to have been used for rituals and ceremonies that were not intended for public observation. The careful placement of ritual artifacts and the enigmatic inscriptions suggest that these spaces were used for highly specialized rites, potentially involving mystical or transformative practices. This aligns with what little is known about secretive priestly traditions in ancient Egypt, where access to certain knowledge and rituals was restricted to those who had undergone extensive training and initiation. These findings provide tangible evidence of the esoteric dimensions of Hathor worship and, by extension, suggest that other temples may similarly contain hidden spaces designed for restricted religious functions. Another major implication concerns ancient Egyptian knowledge of astronomy and cosmology. The discovery of celestial inscriptions, diagrams, and architectural alignments within the subterranean chambers indicates that the priests of Hathor possessed sophisticated astronomical knowledge. They may have used these underground spaces to observe celestial phenomena, track planetary movements, or calculate religious calendars. This evidence challenges the notion that advanced astronomical understanding was limited to theoretical study. Instead, it suggests that such knowledge was integrated into ritual practice, sacred architecture, and spiritual life. The Temple of Hathor thus emerges as a site where religion, science, and ritual intersected in ways that modern scholars are only beginning to appreciate. The presence of mummified remains in unusual postures further emphasizes the diversity of ritual practices within the temple. These burials do not conform to conventional patterns observed in tombs or funerary complexes, implying that they were part of ritualistic activities rather than simple interment. Some scholars suggest that these individuals may have served as ritual participants or symbolic figures, integrated into ceremonies that reflected themes of cosmic renewal, spiritual transformation, or divine mediation. This challenges long-standing assumptions about the uniformity of Egyptian funerary and ritual practices, revealing a flexibility and sophistication in sacred ritual that has often been overlooked in historical narratives. The discoveries also have significant implications for the interpretation of Egyptian art and iconography. The carvings and inscriptions found in the underground chambers display symbolic and abstract motifs not seen elsewhere in the temple. They may represent esoteric knowledge, mystical concepts, or ritual instructions encoded in visual language. This raises the possibility that much of ancient Egyptian art, particularly in sacred spaces, may contain layers of meaning accessible only to those initiated into specific religious or ceremonial knowledge. As a result, art historians and Egyptologists must reconsider how they interpret iconography, taking into account the possibility of hidden, symbolic, or secretive dimensions within even the most familiar monuments. Beyond the temple itself, these discoveries also have broader historical and cultural implications. They underscore the sophistication of ancient Egyptian society in terms of architectural planning, ritual organization, and symbolic communication. The fact that entire networks of subterranean chambers were constructed, aligned with cosmic and architectural precision, and used for complex religious functions suggests a level of coordination, expertise, and purpose that challenges previous assumptions about the limitations of Ptolemaic-era engineering and ritual practice. Moreover, the careful concealment of these spaces demonstrates an acute awareness of the need to protect sacred knowledge, emphasizing the interplay between power, secrecy, and spirituality in ancient Egyptian culture. The findings also provoke questions about what other secrets remain hidden in Egypt's temples and monuments. If the Temple of Hathor, one of the most studied sites in the country, contains chambers and artifacts that went unnoticed for centuries, it is plausible that other temples and sacred sites similarly harbor undiscovered spaces. This realization has energized modern archaeologists to adopt non-invasive technologies and systematic exploration methods, from ground-penetrating radar to 3D mapping, in hopes of uncovering other hidden networks. Each new discovery has the potential to reshape our understanding of Egyptian religion, architecture, and society, demonstrating that even well-studied sites can still surprise and enlighten scholars. The implications extend beyond Egyptology into broader discussions of human knowledge, spirituality, and history. The Temple of Hathor's underground chambers highlight the ways in which ancient societies sought to organize and preserve sacred knowledge, blending empirical observation, symbolic representation, and ritual practice into integrated systems of understanding. This challenges modern assumptions about the separation of science and spirituality, suggesting that in ancient Egypt, knowledge was holistic, encompassing physical, spiritual, and cosmic dimensions. The temple thus serves as a powerful reminder that the past is often more sophisticated, nuanced, and enigmatic than contemporary observers might assume. Furthermore, the discoveries emphasize the importance of cultural heritage preservation. The fragile nature of the subterranean chambers, the delicate artifacts, and the vulnerability of painted inscriptions underscore the need for careful, methodical study. Modern techniques have allowed archaeologists to explore these spaces without causing irreversible damage, setting a standard for how hidden or sensitive sites should be investigated. This approach ensures that the secrets of the Temple of Hathor and potentially other ancient sites can be studied responsibly, balancing the pursuit of knowledge with respect for historical integrity. Finally, the findings have captured the imagination of the public, inspiring curiosity, wonder, and fascination. The narrative of a hidden world beneath one of Egypt's most iconic temples resonates deeply, reminding us that history is not only a record of the past, but also a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Stories of secret chambers, ritual objects, and celestial inscriptions highlight humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown, the hidden, encouraging a new generation of scholars, explorers, and enthusiasts to seek out the mysteries that still lie beneath the surface of our shared heritage. In conclusion, the discoveries beneath the Temple of Hathor have profound and far-reaching implications. They challenge conventional views of temple function, ritual practice, and religious hierarchy in ancient Egypt. They reveal the integration of astronomy, spirituality, and ceremonial life in ways previously unrecognized. They highlight the complexity of symbolic and esoteric knowledge, suggesting that ancient Egyptian society possessed layers of sophistication that remain only partially understood. And they underscore the enduring potential for discovery, reminding us that even in the most studied sites, history continues to reveal its secrets. As research progresses, the Temple of Hathor stands not only as a monument to a beloved goddess, but also as a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and the enduring allure of the unknown.